Let's talk about how people benefit from life coaching. First of all, they get to learn who they are. Sometimes people are executives or business owners and they think they can do anything. Well, part of life coaching is to take your client on a journey into finding out what they're really good at, what they're really great at, and what they're not so good at. And the things that are not so good at, they have two choices on those. They can either get better at them, or they can start sending that work out. They can start having someone else do that work. So, for example, I'm not very good at organizing my schedule. So I have someone do that for me. If I had to organize my schedule, it would be difficult for me. Not one of my strong points. So I have my assistant do that for me. In the cases where they have flexibility and have the ability to have other people do things for them, that can be great. If they don't, then you're going to have to become creative about it. But part of the journey that you're going to take them on in life coaching is getting them to know who they are. Who they are means a lot of things, not only what they're good at, what they're great at, what they're not so good at, but also, do they really want to be doing what they're doing? Is that really where they want to be? So if it's not, then they need to change paths, because you'll never be effective at something if you don't really love it. If your heart's not really into it, if it's not something that you really enjoy doing, you're really not going to be that productive at it or that effective at it. However, if you do love doing it and you are good at it, and it is something that gets you up early and keeps you up late, then that's wonderful. So helping them understand who they are really has a lot of different aspects to it. You're going to, through the life coaching you offer, help them understand exactly who they are. And of course, this calls for you to know who you are, because every now and then the finger's going to turn and it'll be pointed at you. They'll say, oh, you want me to know who I am? Well, do you know who you are? So make sure that the things that you're working with them on are things that you are also open to working with yourself on. You're able to see into yourself and make those improvements that you need to make so you can be more effective at what you do. How about understanding your emotions? You're going to help your clients understand their emotions. Sometimes you're really not going to help them understand their emotions because they're not going to want to change. They're going to be a little rigid in this category, and this usually has to do with the people who are kind of dictatorial. They are like dictators in their business or their personal lives or everything they do, and they're just not going to change, and that's okay. I don't want you to force change where change doesn't seem to be coming naturally. However, you can at least, even with those people, help them understand how their emotions are fitting into the big picture. Maybe they're alienating people because of their emotions. Their emotions are really strong. They're saying things in a certain way that really push people away, that really turn people off. And so by doing things differently, they can have different things come to them. They can cause different effects. They can cause people to actually like them rather than resent them because of their new ability to understand themselves and to work within the parameters of what other people think would be acceptable. Those parameters are not set in stone. Everyone has their own, but by and large, we have understandings of the way we'd like people to act in general, all of us do, and the way we would not like them to act. Certain things are, in other words, socially acceptable, and certain things are not. So getting people to understand their emotions, their highs and lows, can really help them. Also, people who are in business tend to sometimes get down in the dumps. They look at something and it's not working out. They start to feel a little bad about it. They start to think, wow, this really isn't going the way I thought it would. I think I'll quit now. I think I'll stop doing the business. I think I'll just get completely out of it. And they make these decisions sometimes because they just don't understand the highs and the lows that they're going to go through. They don't realize that overall the business is accelerating. It's going up, or at least it's staying steady. They think their emotional highs and lows have to do with the business going up and down, when actually it's all happening in their minds. So you're going to be doing a little bit of counseling with them not officially counseling, not as a counselor, but you're going to be helping them understand their emotions, and this is going to be a tremendous gift to them. This is going to be the gift that really gives back over time. If they understand their emotions, they're going to understand how to deal with people, how to make people happy, how to get what they want out of life rather than upsetting people, rather than being tossed around by their own emotions. They're going to realize that everything's okay and their emotions are okay too. And they can separate the way they feel about their emotions from how they feel about their life in general. How about helping people know what they want to accomplish? Once you know what you want to accomplish, you realize that your life works more smoothly. Same thing goes for your clients. This is going to be one of the benefits that you're going to bring to them, helping them know what they want to accomplish. And really, I would say this is one of the key points of your life coaching business. If you help them know what they want to accomplish, then that means that you probably have some numbers on things. They want to make more widgets. Well, how many widgets do you want to make per week? You want to make 1,000? Fine, we have a number. When do you want this increase to take place? When do you want this to kick in? When do you want to be able to have this new increase available? Do you want to have it happen right away, or do you want to have it happen in a month from now? So now we have a schedule for it also. We not only have the concept of an increase, which is a number, but we also have a date on which it's going to increase. And this date is very helpful too. It's very powerful. So once you understand these things, you have a lot of leverage. Knowing what you want to accomplish, having your client know what they want to accomplish is of tremendous advantage to not only them, but to you also. And it can really help in this thing I keep talking about, which is you keeping your job with them, you remaining in their workforce, on their team, quantifying everything, helping them know what they want to accomplish. Many times when you work with clients, they're just not going to know. They're not going to have any clue. They're not going to have any idea what they want to accomplish. They're going to have a rough idea, and that's about it. You need to help them hone this. You need to help them reel this in. This idea is going to be like a star out there floating around, and you're going to have to help them reach out, grab that star, and bring it down to earth and start making it real. And to do this, sometimes it takes a little bit of soul searching. They may think they know what they want, but they may not really know what they want. Maybe what they say they want is different from what they actually want, and you find this out in a discussion. You see, what happens in life coaching is usually you become more aware of what's going on than they are. Usually you're aware well before they are of what's really going on. So part of your job is to help them understand this, to help them know what they want to accomplish. That's one of the benefits you bring. What about willingness to change? People, when they have a life coach, usually already have some sort of willingness to change, but you're going to make this even greater for them. They're going to have a certain willingness to change, so you can work with something. You have something to work with. But there's usually a lot of room for growth. If they had complete willingness to change, they would have already done it. They would have already looked around, and they would have seen what Sally's doing that makes her so successful, and they would have done that. They would have already changed. So usually they have a willingness to change, but it's not at the 100% level yet. You need to get it closer, a lot closer to 100% than wherever it is when you first meet them. That is going to be a bit of a challenge for you, helping them increase their willingness to change, because they're not always willing to change to the degree that's going to be highly beneficial. You need to make sure that their minds are wide open, that they're really willing to change. Now, this isn't always going to be the case, and I don't want you to get caught up in a situation where you're fighting them, ever. If you ever find yourself fighting a client, you're going to lose. You're probably going to lose your job. Okay, and I know I keep saying that, but you have to realize that there are certain rules that you must not disobey. One of the rules is don't fight with your client. You can be right and unemployed, and that's not really a good position to be in. So, if you get to a point where you feel that they're just hard-headed, and if they just listen to me, we could change the world together. If you ever get to that point where you feel that they're really thick-headed, hard-headed, they're not listening to you, and they should, you need to step back, take a breath, realize that they probably hired you, or they at least agreed to work with you, so they're not completely thick-headed like you may think they are. They do have somewhat of willingness to change, but you need to reposition what you are bringing to the table. Rather than cramming it down their throats, you need to serve it up on a nice plate with some fruit and some cake and so forth. You need to make it something that they want to do. That's part of your job, getting them, enticing them to be willing to change when you see that it's going to be for their benefit. Self-awareness. You're going to bring them self-awareness in a nice way. As I've said, you're not just going to walk in and say, hey, this company's ridiculous. It's not working because nobody has any sense, and nobody does anything that actually works or makes money. That's why you're failing. You're not going to walk into a business and say that. In many cases, you're going to feel like saying it. You're going to wish you could bulldoze the whole place, replace everyone, and build from scratch. You're really going to be in a situation like that. You're going to wish that. But that's not the way it actually happens. What you're going to have to do is work with the foundation that's already there. You're going to have to help your client have some self-awareness, awareness of what's going on, not just with your client, but with the situation at large. And once they have that, then you don't need to be forceful. You don't need to use harsh words or show them the quote-unquote harsh reality that they refuse to look at. They're going to see it for themselves. Once they become self-aware through your help, they're going to be able to see that and not just make that change, whatever change you think needs to be made, but a lot of other changes. And not just during the time that you're working with them, but from that point on. Because once people really tap into self-awareness and get some distinctions, they're going to be able to make a lot of changes on their own. And that's really what you want to do. This is about empowerment. You're not trying to cripple them. That's not the situation that you should be trying to set up. And if you ever find yourself in that situation where you're trying to artificially create more reasons for you to be there, then let it go and do them and yourself a favor and walk away. Because milking a client is not a good thing. It's not beneficial to you or the client or to your reputation. But what you do want to be working on is helping them with their self-awareness, helping them develop those skills that are going to allow them to see what you see so that they can take the reins from then on, so that they won't need you, so that they can see things through new eyes, through a new enlightened approach. And this comes from them gaining insights. And the way you work with them to do that is you very subtly and politely show them what's going on. And when you want them to change, you say, have you ever thought about this? Or have you ever thought about that? Usually they haven't, and if they have, they dismissed it, so you help reintroduce it to them. What about being in tune with people around you? That's one of the benefits from life coaching. People who work with a life coach get in tune with the people around them, usually through self-awareness and a willingness to change, and knowing what they want to accomplish and understanding their emotions and knowing who they are. But sometimes just by virtue of having a life coach in general, they get in tune with the people around them. Because part of what you'll be doing as a life coach is showing them how their interactions are either helping them or hurting them. When their interactions are helping them, then they are, of course, beneficial, and they should continue doing those things. When their interactions are hurting them, then they need to change. But interactions have to do with other people. Most of business has to do with other people. Sometimes in certain internet-based businesses, it's more so a matter of what the person does, what the individual does. But even in internet-based businesses, people have to deal with other people. Even though it's online and through emails and may seem very impersonal, there are still other people at the other end of that email, other people representing that other business that they're having to deal with. So a lot of life coaching has to do with helping people be more in tune with the people around them. And so this can translate into better relationships with their family, better relationships with their friends, better relationships with their employees or their coworkers, better relationships with people who are higher up than them in the business, or better relationships with other businesses that business deals with. This can translate into a lot of different areas and add a tremendous amount of benefit. But being in tune with people around you is one of the major benefits from life coaching, one of the major benefits that you are going to be asked to bring to the table. So you're going to be finding yourself coming up with new and creative ways to help people get along with others, to sympathize and empathize with those around them. Sometimes people in business think that they're islands unto themselves and that they are self-made women or self-made men, and everything they've got they had to fight for, and they've got a very individual type attitude. They're strong individuals. And this attitude that they have, that they bring to everything that they do, sometimes can be hindering them. What about the ability to set and reach goals? The ability to set and reach goals. Now realize that once they're able to do this, they're going to be able to do this by themselves. This is something that they're going to learn how to do, and they're going to be able to do it for themselves. They're going to be able to set and reach goals. And you get them there by holding their hand at first. At first, they need their hand held. But didn't we all, when we were growing up? Did we learn to feed ourselves all by ourselves? Did we get the jar of baby food out of the refrigerator or the cabinet and open it ourselves and teach ourselves how to feed ourselves? No, of course not. Somebody did all this for us. We had to be bathed, etc., every day for a long time and shown how to walk and so forth. We probably would end up walking eventually ourselves, but people sped up the process for us. If we were alone and having to do this all by ourselves and maybe just had someone to feed us, we had to learn how to walk alone, it would probably take a lot longer for us to figure out the whole balance thing. If somebody wasn't encouraging us and clapping, saying, "Oh, good job, you walked across the floor." Well, that's what you're going to be doing, not in a babying sense, but kind of with your clients. You're going to be encouraging them to take those baby steps, to learn how to eat food, to learn how to walk, to learn how to take care of themselves. It's going to be almost like working with an infant. But realize that once they know how to do these things, they mature very quickly, very rapidly. When you teach people in business how to do things and how to do them the right way, they learn very quickly. If they're going to learn, they usually learn very quickly. And once they do, they have the ability to set and reach goals. This takes you right out of the equation. And I want you to always work toward this. I want you to always work toward taking yourself out of the equation. I want you to think in those terms. How can I make my job obsolete? I know that sounds contradictory, but trust me when I say, if you think in these terms, you're going to keep your job. If you're always thinking, how can I empower them? How can I empower them? How can I teach them what I know so they don't need me? If you're always in that mindset of giving, empowering, they're going to need you even more. They're going to need that energy. They're going to need that person who's so giving, who's so willing to empower. They're going to put you in different positions, have you work with different people to give them that power. They're going to write you great references so that you can give other people that power. So you'll have the ability to give the ability to set and reach goals.